Hey, my name is Paul. I am running Common Touch of Fantasy. This is the first video, and this is a review of Stephen King's The Shining. This is going to be a different review than was on the webpage at commontouchoffantasy.com. These video reviews are more about my feelings of the book, and also the things that I got from the book that might impact me as a person. And so, first book that we're reviewing is The Shining. I decided to read this because, it's October. I wanted to read a scary book. I already read House of Leaves, and the second scary book for the month is The Shining. I'm not a big horror genre fan. I used to read them a lot when I was younger, but I'm mostly a fantasy and mystery person now. But when I was young, I read horror. Don't really care for Stephen King that much, though. So, but it's The Shining. It's one of his best books, so I wanted to take a chance on it. So basically, this book is about a family that has issues. The father has been fired from his job, and he has an alcohol issue that he's trying to get over. Right now he is sober. He hasn't drank in a while, but the wife, it's always in the back of her mind that he's going to go back to drinking. And also he has abused his child in the past. And so there's a big tension between the wife and the father. The wife is always scared that eventually he's going to lose control and hurt the son again. Father Jack, he really loves his family, though. He loves his son Danny and his wife Wendy, but he has temper and anger issues. Danny, the son, has something called The Shining, and The Shining is a intuition-based ability where he can read thoughts of people, read their emotions. The entire book is about them going and working at a hotel where his ability will be able to see all the bad things that happen in the hotel. And what will the past of the hotel, how will that influence Jack, the father, and the family dynamic, right? It's a popular book, so most people know what it's about just because of the movie, Jack Nicholson. Here's Johnny. So, alright, so King has the main theme of controlling yourself in this book. Jack Torrance has a horrible temper, and that impacts his family. He gets fired from his job, his wife doesn't trust him, his son is a little scared of him. He has this past with his own father that was abusive, but he also loved his father. Danny also loves his father too. So it's very interesting that, we have this man that's flawed, and, his family still loves him because of it, but they're very hesitant about it. And I think this really spoke to me because I have a temper, but not as bad as Jack, obviously. That side of me kind of relates to Jack, but it also makes me realize, because of his extreme with it, how much more that I have to work on it myself. And so that's my biggest takeaway from The Shining, is self-progression of myself to control my temper even more. I've controlled it pretty good as of late, but just to try more. Another theme that I think is represented in this book is that young children have something important to say. Danny is 5. He's a very bright, intelligent 5, but he has something to say. He has a viewpoint. He has an opinion on stuff. And I think King really emphasizes that, little kids, they are important too. And this book really shows that they are very important. And so, like, in real life, everyday life, sometimes we think of, like, a 5-year-old as someone that we don't need to talk to, or we don't need their opinion or their viewpoint on it. And King is saying, hey, kids are important too. Listen to them sometimes. They might look at things differently than you, and it might actually be better. The last theme that I think that The Shining brings out is an abusive relationship theme. When do you walk away from that abusive relationship? When do you stop giving the other person a second chance? And that's between Wendy and Jack. And there's a point in the book when Danny and Wendy both know that the hotel is influencing Jack and that he is kind of losing it a little bit. It's when they were in the car together, they're going down the Sidewinder, and they talk and they say, what do you want to do? Do you want to leave and leave Daddy there by himself? And Danny said no, that he's worried about his dad. He doesn't want anything to happen to him. And that was the point in the book when they probably should have left, but their loyalty and their love for their father made them stay. Okay? And this happens all the time in real life. There's that point when people know that they should leave, but their loyalty and their love makes them stay. Okay? You can't fault people for doing that. That's just natural. And it really correlates to what's going on in popular culture right now with Ray Rice and domestic violence. And so that part of the book really stood out because, that's a main topic of conversation in society right now. Okay? And my opinion is that they probably should have left, but you can't be mad at them and say that Danny and Wendy are stupid for not leaving. Just like today, when people say to the woman, you're stupid for have stayed there. That's just victimizing more of the victim. So that's one of the things about this book that I think is great. I think it makes you think about a lot. The last thing I want to talk about with the themes is the argument that the book gives is if Jack is in control of himself at the end. Danny and Wendy both say multiple times that he is not himself and that he's possessed by a hotel. However, I believe there's an interpretation available to the reader that makes it so we can either decide that Jack still has control or he doesn't. And I believe from the scene with Grady in the ballroom that it is obvious that Jack wants to have this position at the hotel as the manager, as the main person. And I think that influenced him so much, and he had to prove to Grady and everyone else that he's strong by punishing his family, that he was influenced to do harm to his family. The hotel is influencing him, but I don't think it's possessing him. That's just my opinion. That's one of the great things about this book, is because you can decide what you believe when it comes to Jack at the end. Right. My expectation coming into this book was that it would be really scary and that it would have great characters, because Stephen King, he writes great characters. I was right about the character thing. That's great. King wrote amazing characters here. Jack, Wendy, and Danny. I know them so much, but they hardly even knew each other, but I know them so much. However, I was not scared that much in this book. There was one time when the reveal of the red rum is actually murder backwards. I knew that from the movie, of course, but the scene was so well written that it still gave me goosebumps. And that was the only physical reaction or really emotional reaction that I got from the book. And so because of that, I don't think it's like, I don't love the book, I just like it. So for me to love a book, I have to have a emotional or physical reaction while reading the book. And there was only one, and I need more than one a lot of times. Okay, you know, this is one of the staples of the horror genre. King wrote it in like '78, I believe, and it's one of his first books, maybe a third, I believe, and it's good, and I recommend that people read it. I recommend anyone that is into character-based horror books, and I recommend it to anyone that likes, that is interested in this theme of abuse and relationships and when to leave and stuff like that. I think that's something. If you're interested in reading something like that, I think that's something you should read. The only thing about Stephen King I don't like is I don't like his use of profanity at times. I think it's a little much. It doesn't really add a whole lot to the book, in my opinion. But, you know, it's whatever. I'm not a huge King fan, and it's mainly because of his writing style. His writing style is a Gardner writing style instead of an architect writing style. A Gardner writing style is someone that has his character and an idea. And he takes that character and idea and he writes a story based off it. And that character is what makes the story the story. And an architect writer, he like makes an outline and he's like, A is going to happen, B is going to happen, C is going to happen, D is going to happen. And he pretty much writes it all out on an outline and then fills it in. But King, as a Gardner, he lets the characters write the story for him. And that's what makes his books good, and also at the same time makes his books difficult for some people. And they are difficult for me, because I like more direction in my books, but I love characters, so his characters are amazing, but his direction at times is a little lacking, so that's my thoughts on King. Alright, so this has been a review of Shining by Stephen King, and thank you for watching if you did. Check out more videos once I post them. Check out the website, cometouchoffantasy.com. There's a link on there to the Facebook page, and there's a link on there to my Goodreads. And just follow me for more reviews and more news about the fantasy genre. I'm going to get into Patrick Rothfuss's Name of the Wind next. I'm already about 100 pages in, and I love this book so far. It's got me hooked, and this will be the next book that I will review. So watch for that. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.